Hello, my name is Jitters, and welcome back to another episode of Why Nobody Plays, a series where I talk about the least picked agents in the game and why they might have such low pick rates. In this series, I start by talking about the agent's strengths, their weaknesses, and then finally I try to give recommendations for how the agent can be improved. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about Skye. Skye was first released at the end of October 2020, and 6 months later there still hasn't been an act where Skye's had a healthy pick rate. Since release, Skye's pick rate has always hovered around 2 to 3% across all ranks, and she's always in the bottom 4 least picked agents in the game. But why is that? Before we answer that question, let's start by talking about all of her strengths. Skye is a jack of all trades kind of agent. Where most agents excel in one main role that they can fulfill very well, Skye can almost be flexed into multiple team comps because her skill set is so wide. For example, an agent like Sova excels at info gathering, but doesn't provide any form of flash for his team for engages. An agent like Omen is great for smoking off choke points to make pushing onto a site easier, and an agent like Sage helps support her team with a heal and can slow choke points to give her team time to rotate. But Skye isn't really like that. Skye provides flashes for her team that last as long as Breach's flashes and tell your team if someone gets blinded. This allows them to double as both a powerful flash and an info gathering tool. Her dog is very similar to Sova's drone, acting as an entry tool that can be used to check corners and find enemies on site before your team pushes, and can even stun enemies that are hit by it. On top of that, Skye also has a heal that's stronger than Sage's, with faster healing and the ability to heal multiple teammates at once. Because of this versatility, you should be able to play Skye in any team comp since she could fit multiple roles, at least in theory. Now that we're done talking about her strengths, it's time to talk about her weaknesses. There are 3 main weaknesses I'm going to talk about holding Skye back from having a better pick rate. She's really hard to play, her kit is underpowered, and she can't really fill any role her team needs as effectively as other agents can. Let's start with the first point. Skye's biggest learning curve comes from her flashes. They're arguably one of, if not the hardest flashes to use in the game. Getting used to them takes a lot of practice, where you could have just picked up a character like Phoenix and understood how to use his flashes right away. Especially in lower elos where mechanics aren't as good, it's very easy to mess up and either flash your teammates or miss a doorway and have your flash fly into a corner, wasting the credits. This makes it hard to justify choosing Skye when filling for your team, so generally the people that do play her are dedicated Skye mains. Skye's second weakness is that her abilities are all, for the most part, underpowered, and I'm going to make this argument for her flash, dog, and ultimate. On top of being the hardest to use, her flashes are arguably the easiest in the game to avoid. This is because they're loud, and Skye has to fly them around a corner, making it very easy to look away from them, negating most of their effect. Not only that, but they're also the only flash in the game you can shoot. They only have about 50 or so HP, so they only take about 2 Vandal shots to kill. Her dog is very similar. You can just shoot it a lot of the time before it even gets close enough to stun you. Not only that, but the dog also has impaired vision and can't see from very far away. Because of this, it's very easy to shoot it before it even gets close enough to see an enemy, pretty much giving you almost no information. Finally, her ultimate. I mean, it's okay in a 1v1 or 2v2 scenario after the bomb is planted to know where the enemies are retaking from, but just compare this ult to any other one in the game. In a post-plant situation, a Cypher ult is just better at info gathering because it not only tells you the direction enemies are coming from, but you get to see exactly how close they are. The ultimate can also be shot and destroyed, along with the AI on it not really being the greatest, makes it very hard to use it as a tool to enter onto a site. Because most of the time, all of her seekers just end up going the same direction and are destroyed by one enemy before they actually get to split up and find everyone. Compare that to both of the other initiators. Breach's ult can be used to pretty much give you an entire site for free, because anyone on the site is just going to get stunned and then killed. It can also be used to retake a site on defense or as a post-plant tool to stop diffusers. And Sova's ult can either be used in combination with this drone and tag someone and get an opening pick. You can just use it to blindly clear angles that enemies like to hide in, and it can also be used to stop enemies from diffusing. What can Skye's ult do? Sometimes find one enemy before they destroy all 5 of the seekers. When looking at it like that, it's clear that Skye's ult just doesn't hold up. The last weakness I wanted to talk about is how she doesn't fill roles as effectively as other agents. For example, let's talk about her info gathering. Sova has both his recon dart and his owl drone, where Skye has her flashes and dog. Sova's recon dart allows him and his team to see enemies through walls. This makes it very easy to wallbang, shoot through smokes, and even makes it easier when pushing on a site because you don't have to check as many corners. Compare that to Skye's flash. If someone gets hit by it, she tells you that an enemy is blinded. This tells you that an enemy is in the area, but depending on the situation, you won't know where exactly an enemy is, so your team still has to check every corner to find the enemy you blinded. On top of that, the flash also doesn't tell you if the enemy looked away from it, and if they did, then it doesn't really give your teammates that are pushing off of it a competitive advantage. Sova's drone can also tag enemies and allows your team to see them through walls for 3 pulses. And just like Recon Arrow, this allows your team to get easy kills a lot of the time when you can wallbang enemies in certain locations or shoot them through smokes. The drone also doesn't have impaired vision, so even if an enemy destroys it before you can tag them, you at least almost always get to see where they are. Compared to Skye's dog, you pretty much get an entry fragger that doesn't really get to see where the enemy was a lot of the time. Sure, you may be able to stun enemies, but it's very rare that you get your dog in close enough to even have that chance. So in almost all cases, Sova is just a better pick. Okay, so I've bashed pretty hard on Skye, but what can be done to improve her? I have a couple of suggestions, but they might be a bit controversial. First, her flashes. I really like the info gathering they provide, but I think they should do a little more. I think she should have a different voice line depending on if she fully blinds an enemy or if they manage to look away from it. This will at least allow you to be sure that when you peek off of it that the enemy can't see you. Her dog also shouldn't have impaired vision, or if that's too strong, at least give it a wider range. I think if Sova's drone is allowed to see perfectly and ping enemies to be seen through walls, then Skye's dog should at least be able to see normally as well. Finally, her ultimate. I think it needs a rework. A lot of the time, the ultimate only gets to find 1 or 2 enemies anyways, so why don't we change it to only have 2 seekers but make those 2 seekers stronger? Maybe they can't be destroyed, but they also don't blind enemies on contact. Or they still can be destroyed, but when an enemy destroys one, you can see them through walls for a frame, similar to a single ping of Sova's drone or a Cypher ult. I don't know, maybe all of these changes would make her overpowered, but I do think that 1 or 2 of them would be fine. Please let me know what you think. If you agree or disagree with anything I've said in this video, please leave a comment and let me know. Also, if you have any other ideas for how Skye could be improved, I'd like to hear them as well. Anyways, thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe for more Valorant related content.